What's up? It's me, Zoki. I'm back. Probably too close. It's actually, look, doggy, kind of far away. And now that's at the good distance. It picks it up really well. I really like this mic. Life is good. The dog woke me up, I guess, at 7. So we are here. It is Sunday, January 14th, 2024. It is mid-month. New year. Sit down, dude. No. I need some more food soon, okay? Just relax. Like I said, this dog woke me up early. No, stop that stuff, dude. You know what I really wanted to say, but I'm trying to not curse on here. I'll say one of my F-bombs for later, I guess. So yeah, we up and alive. We doing our thing. All is well. I think I am gonna have a topic today, I have to look it up right now and all that good stuff. Clean my road stuff that I barely use, but I'll start using it soon. Clean it up, all that good stuff. Okay. All right. So what's been going on? I think it's the second full week of January. Things are good. Got over my sickness, which is cool, which I like. Yeah. So I've been drinking hot water. I didn't drink any water yesterday. I did it past couple of days and stuff like that. And that's been really helping a lot. And one of those things is interesting that they say, you need to take medicine when you're sick, which is mostly, I guess, true. But in my case, it really wasn't that true. Just kept drinking water. I did take some NyQuil a couple of days during the stint, but now for the longest, that's all I've been doing, drinking a lot of hot water, some tea to change it up. Of course, I've still been on my coffee, but, again, I'm not one of those people that, even being a coffee guy, coffee snob or whatever, drink like a lot of coffee. I just don't. 1 to 2 cups a day, rarely 3. If I do 3, it's espresso in the afternoon, something like that, I'm going to try to blow my nose. Probably best if you do that in the morning. There you go. I'll get you something, man. Just relax. We'll go outside soon. His daughter loves to just go and play, which we'll do soon. But hey, he got me up. Sunday's podcast day, so that's what we're doing. I don't think I told you, but I probably did, but I'll repeat it right now. I did join a couple of mastermind groups. One mainly dealing with like white label and business and stuff like that. And the other is YouTube mastermind, tons of videos to watch to get better and all that stuff. Because my YouTube game has to get better, It is going to be helpful, paramount, all that good stuff, as they say, to showcase my stuff to people in the visual sense. And I've started and stopped YouTube so many times. I usually started really strong at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. And then I think of some topics and I keep thinking about them and I don't do nothing until those times of the year. It's like a New Year's resolution to YouTube, but why not now, right? As I said, multiple times a year already. So, I was doing some of that stuff. I'll do more of it this week. I finish all the lessons and all that stuff from the other stuff, which is going to help out with coffee in general. But yeah, so that's that. That's what we're doing with that. Has been quite busy just trying to, it's not just, listen and then implement, or really that's what it is. It's listen and then implement. A lot of stuff I do know of and all that good stuff, but it's one of those things where you have to like listen to the information, take it in, and start to implement it, right, so to speak. So that's what is going on right now with that. And I do like the process. It is overwhelming, but just like with podcasting, as soon as I start to get there, I think I'll get there and develop my systems. But then what is being taught and going about that way, you know. So far so good. I am using all this is really overwhelming, and it's helpful to use Chat GPT to develop a script and to kind of think it through and constantly think about it. And that's what's happening right now. For instance, I did my second video. I'm working on my third, and I have an outline. I don't like a script. A script is more so robotic and stuff, but I have an outline. And I'm thinking about the video, you know, that I'm going to be doing, the layers that are going to be involved in that. Like how many B-roll clips do I need? What are they going to be? Am I going to do this in segments, you know, or am I going to do essentially one take of all of it? So it's really a cool process, and it's a more creative way to go about it. And again, like I said, it's very overwhelming. It's good to have these ideas and thoughts, but I think as I keep going, it'll get better. And but yeah, it is very overwhelming because then once you get the clips, take the images or video, record it, kind of think it through, and then import everything, and then start to edit. And that's where it's gonna get kind of spicy, I guess. I'm trying to aim for 10 minutes an episode. So that means I need to actually record more than 10 minutes. And after a while, I once I start to ramble, I can do that, right? But sometimes when you have something set in stone that you're trying to work on, sometimes you think that you have a lot to talk about, but then it gets to the point where you're like, oh, I don't. If that makes sense, right? It's like, okay, I got a topic now, like, which I do have a topic that I was thinking about doing, but I'm not going to do until later. It's about my V60, Harrier V60, but I'm going to wait on that. I am going to wait on that. Um, it's the best coffee brewer in the world. It really is. But I do have a topic that I'm going to talk about, but I do want to tell you that YouTube is very hard, even though there's a lot of people doing it right. And you have to think about everything. Like the last video, which I knew was more so the case in this situation, but my background, especially the way I take at least some of my video, is crap. I'm in a room, and the room is a dining room actually, but it has an opening, and this opening like connects to the rest of the living room, right? And that side over there is my wife's side, and this side is my side, and my side I think is the best room in the house. I really do. And the thing about it is that on her side, there's a couple of bookshelves that covers the opening. It's about 70 inches by 70 inches or something like that, or 80 inches by 80. Some of my measurements were kind of wonky, but it's all good. And yeah, so, and when you show the video, you see the backing of her bookshelves, and it's not cool, right? So I came up with a couple different ideas. One of the latest ones, I'll tell you about the final one because I really do love it. Is I think one of them was to put like a photographic vinyl wood photograph, you know, on the back. Like I had like wood going on the floor. But when it came in, it looked like crap. It was complete crap. It was pixelated. I think the only way it can kind of work if you're far away, and my room is not that long. And the way that I'm going to be placed on the back, and then the camera being right where it's going to be a couple feet away from me, it just didn't really gel right with me. And I kind of, as soon as I opened up the package, I was like, what this is crap. I said, no, I'll keep it. No, return it. That's the beauty of Amazon, right? When you're a consumer. We'll talk about that other stuff soon. But yeah, you just return the shit and keep moving along and stuff like that. But so yeah, so that was crap. I had some other ideas that were going to be very expensive. Wall dividers, you either a couple $100, and they didn't go all the way to the top as I wanted it to go. So it didn't do that. So the other idea that I did have was I don't know what else, but it came down to something that looked nice, that was presentable, that didn't get in the way, and photographed or video recorded nicely. Because the room is like a gray bluish color that I painted, which I love. But I didn't want anything to kind of get too crazy contrasty in here. Like put like a black background in, and then I have to like do a lot of lighting and all that stuff. I still gotta do lighting, even if it's white, but I didn't want to start down that route. So that's what I ended up doing. And I went the route of white because I think I'll be able to actually record all three uh, direction, which is pretty spectacular. And then the window, that kind of an eyesore actually. When you look at it, I'll get a new window here soon. It's going to be really nice, but as of right now, it's an eyesore, and that's kind of like the situation that we're dealing with right now. And yeah, so with the window, what I'm doing is I have a couple blinds that I bought, and that took a while just to kind of really pick it the right ones, not just for like video recording, but also like comfort and all that good stuff, because that's extremely important to me too. It has to look good, right? So you can enjoy the room and do what you need to do in the room. You want to go outside, man? Hmm? I'm chilling. We'll go for a walk soon. Okay, we'll go for a walk soon. I'm busy. You want to go? Want to go? Okay. It's all crazy. But yeah. So that's gonna be the situation. And then I'm getting two pieces of furniture, and I think I decided after where I put the final piece, which I'll talk about soon, is a smaller chair, a nice chair, but a smaller chair. That's where the display is right now. And then I'm gonna get me a couch in the back, so that's where I can record quite a bit. I'm still contemplating what to do with my dry erase board. I think it's gonna stay. It's just gonna probably be put in a different spot. But yeah, that's what I got going, you know. And but what I ended up settling on for the background is a pegboard, and I got it from Lowe's. If you're familiar with Lowe's and Home Depot, those two Ken and Ryu places, duke it out. They're on each on the opposite corner and all that stuff. And I usually go to Home Depot mainly because I can get adequate help. Sometimes with Lowe's, when you go in there and you are a dude, they don't really mess around with you. They just kind of leave you alone. They figure that you probably know what you're doing, which is not the case really. But I decided on pegboard, and I decided with Lowe's because they actually had a good deal on them. I mean, if I dig deeper, probably Home Depot would probably also have the exact same deal because they're essentially the same store, so to speak. Different, same but different, but you know what I'm talking about. But I went with Lowe's because a 4x8, 4 feet by 8 feet pegboard it was about 24, $25. So when I measured out the place, I needed two of them. I mean, it would have probably been a little bit easier, better if I kind of measured out if I needed to get it right in the center. But it's a little off center, which is, I think it actually gives a little bit of perspective, where the seams are into the board vertically. And I was gonna go with an off-white, and I did buy this high-end, supposedly spray paint. It was off-white, but it was windy outside, so I'll not totally blame the spray paint. So, but it still gets about 70% of the blame. And it just kind of went everywhere. It looked like it, and I don't think I had enough to get the whole coverage of the pegboard. So I had spray paint. I mean, I had regular paint upstairs. So I went ahead and painted it just white again and just kept it simple. But yeah, two pegboards. They're cut at the top. One of them goes the full length, and the other one goes a little less than the 4 feet, of course, because 1, 2, 3, so 3 feet. roughly about 3 feet. So you can kind of see where I cut that wasn't straight, but it was still fine. And then the one on the top, those are not straight, but I had to cut that a couple of times because the frame that I made was shorter than the top, which is perfectly fine. So I knew that I needed to have the pegboard go all the way up, which is good because, I mean, again, at the end of the day, the framing is the framing, and it needed to be what it was going to be in order for me to fit it in the spot that I have it. And sometimes if you like move it or touch it, it kind of moves back out. But since my coffee bar is where it's at, it's still gonna stay where it's gonna be. But one way to, of course, mitigate that is to have my furniture right in the spot, pushing against the pegboard. And the cool thing about the pegboard that I've noticed is that you can hang things. And I have a pegboard in the back of the house. I mean, in my garage, and it's industrial like, and it's actually in a smaller spot. And I do have extra pegboard. The cool thing, again, like I said, is like I can it's pretty cool. I mean, I like it. I can hang things. Like, for instance, right now I have my Hario V60 up there. I have the Hario kettle that I just broke because it fell. The handle fell. So I ordered another one, a black one, which looks really cool. So that's going to be in the videos and stuff like that. So I can hang different things up there, and I'll think about what else to hang. Use it as like a prop or like introduction to different videos. And it presents and it looks really well. Really does. And I'm really happy with that. So the room is shaping out pretty well to be like a nice YouTube studio slash creative space. I have everything I need in here. And then the tricky part, of course, is to make sure that when I do have my lighting and all that stuff in here, it's going to be what it's going to be. And then I can be able to play around with that. But it's good. Things are good. I may move a couple things out the way. Like I have a random board. It's like a vision board, which is fine, but I can actually move that out somewhere else. And then we'll keep it going, and then we'll go from there. But that's more so what happened this week. Amazon, same thing. No real response. Sent them something yesterday asking them what's going on with it. But I have decided to just move on. I'll come back to it, but I need to work on the listings. So my big bag is here. My 12-ounce bag. My sample bags will be here Wednesday. So I think sometime later in the week, I will go to my brother's shop to take some more of the bags, the 2-pound bags there, kind of get more of a feel of the place and all that. And then call the inspector, let her come through, see what she has to say and all that good stuff. And then take a couple of pictures, some stock white background images, take my camera up there and just have a really good time. I'll probably be there for like an hour or two, about 2 hours. And then see where all that will go, because that's going to be a lot of fun to at least get that off my list. I want to do things in order. Like I want brand registry to be done before moving on to the listings, but nothing is really stopping the listings. So I can go ahead and get that completed because that's still going to be a process. As soon as I take the pictures and kind of get an idea, then I need to go to the process of picking a couple of images that I do want to change, to implement into the listings, lifestyle, and all that good stuff. But it's one of those things where I want to do things in order, but I'm going to have to do them concurrently and out of whack and just kind of deal with the punches with the brand registry and then keep it going from there, because that's going to be the thing that's going to, there's still a lot of things that I have to learn, and the way to learn it is kind of just going into it. And that's how a lot of things are, right? You think that but when you pull the curtains up, you're like, oh no, this is the real way it works. So it's one of those things where you have to just get into it to really understand. People can tell you about it, but it's still not enough for you to really get in a place of really understanding when you immerse yourself into the experience, right? So yeah, it was good. I roasted some coffee. This is a coffee podcast, mostly. I roasted some coffee. The coffee was fine. It's been a week since I roasted it. I am going to be working on another video, like I said earlier, this week. But yeah, so I will taste the coffee next week, and we'll go from there to see how it does taste and all that stuff, and learn from that, and keep going. It's gonna be fun. Using my iPhone, it's been turning out pretty well so far. After changing some of the settings, using the front camera, forget the back camera. So we are 25 minutes in, and we're finally going to talk about a coffee topic, right? And before I get started, of course, I'm gonna ramble a little bit before I get going. But I I think one of the reasons why I don't like to talk about coffee, especially when I have a topic, is the logic of like I won't have anything else to talk about when I run out of topics. Currently, as of right now, I have 25 topics that I wrote down myself. Of course, there's ways to come up with more topics that I want to talk about, right? But one of the podcasts I do listen to all the time is called Mind Pump. And Mind Pump is a fitness podcast. And what they do quite a bit in the beginning, which I actually hated, but now I want to know first about what they're going through, what they're talking about. And then they go into the topic of the thing that they're trying to talk about, right? Fitness wise. I should have hooked you guys in. I'm sorry. I'll do that next time. Bad etiquette, right? But they tell you what they're going to talk about, but then they ramble or talk about other stuff. And then once they do that, they get into the topic. And a lot of times what they do with the topics is that I've heard this stuff. They probably just said it different ways here and there, but they keep constantly repeating the same things. I mean, not really, but yes, they do. And that has given me the freedom to repeat things if I need to repeat them, right? And and that's perfectly okay. And I think that's given me the freedom to really talk about things from the perspective that I've had right now, that I've had probably for a lot of years, and then revisit it again to see if my perspective has slightly changed, or if I say it differently, or to get you to understand what I'm really talking about again, or a different angle. And that's perfectly okay. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things to where you have to say things a lot for people to understand or to get what you're talking about. But yeah, so it's okay to repeat topics, episodes from time to time. It's not going to be totally the same, but we will see where we get with, at least when I talk about this one in particular. Okay, so what's the coffee topic? Cupping is some bullshit. Let me explain. Okay, there's something in the coffee industry that well, all industries have their own things, systems, protocols that is usually like an industry standards that people do, right? And in this case, one of them is cupping. And cupping, what it is that you have multiple many cups of coffee, right, on the table. You grind it more so like a French press. That's probably why I don't like it. But anyway, and then you put hot water in it. You wait 4 minutes. You break the crust. You smell it. You get all the aromas, and then once you do that, you use a spoon. It's a cupping cup spoon, and you slurp and you analyze. And then there's so many different ways to go about it. You can have a triangle test. You can have multiple different coffees. Sometimes you do a dark or light roast to kind of really see if there's a big contrast in the whole, testing. And there's many parameters that are involved with smells, flavor, aroma. And it does make sense. It really does. I'm not saying this because I'm about to nail it to the cross or something like that. But again, it's a way to where you can educate yourself understand the coffee in in the sense that it is. And what is usually done after that is they don't go for like a crazy roasting protocol either. They just kind of roast it to light roast most of the time, and it's not a real particular type of a profile. Like I'm assuming it is probably just because, you know, I mean, you have profiles for everything, right? So you want to kind of keep it consistent in what you're trying to do so you can analyze it a lot better, right? But again, there's a couple of things that you do, and a lot of times you do this with a group of people. A lot of times, of course, you can do it by yourself, but you're slurping and you're tasting and you're trying to understand that coffee, right? You're trying to be objective as possible. And then what you're doing too is that you're giving that coffee in particular a rating. And usually, I think it's 80. I need to see it back again. But usually, if you get a score of 80, that's specialty coffee. And then normally, if you really get a high rated coffee, it's like a 90 or 87 or 88. No one gets 100. You know, every coffee has some type of problems or defects or or something on the, you know, on the wheel where it's not 100%, you know, like things in life, right? So you rate the coffee, right? And then as you rate it, other people rate it, right? And then when you get an estimate or average, then that's what people say that coffee is. And these are the cupping notes or the tasting notes that you get from a importer. And trust me, I actually understand them, but I don't do it right. And I'll tell you why. And that's the way I analyze the coffees to see if it is a coffee that I would like to purchase for you, right? To see if it's going to gel with your palate. And that's more so the case that I'm dealing with right now. You know, so I'll get some tasting notes and it's based off cuppings, right? And when you it's kind of there. Sometimes it's hokey. A lot of times it's pretentious, you know. But the thing about it is that it's a starting place, really, for you to understand what you're getting and what's going on. And then it's one of those things to where it's a good parameter, so to speak, a parameter. I don't know which one it is, but it gets you in the ball game, gets you a really good idea of what you're getting. And a lot of times with coffees, there's you can read the notes and they are what they are. But a lot of times you have to really think about this in your customer's perspective. It's extremely important that you get into the minds of them, right? Because that's the thing about it. And that's why cupping is bullshit, right? It's a decent, okay protocol. And I think the real reason why they do it is because they don't want to waste paper. And filtered paper coffee is a lot better tasting. But if you're cupping or analyzing 15, 20 coffees, all you need is a small bowl, and that's all you need to do. It's like slurping, the same thing that they do in wine to really try to understand the coffee. But the thing or the reason why I don't really do it is my wife. And it really hit me and it struck me because she saw me do it years ago. And she just told me, she was like, nobody does that shit, right? And I was like, yeah, we do. And no, nobody does that. Who does that? And it got me thinking, you don't do that. Why would you do that? You drink your coffee most of the time, piping hot, black, or with additives. And yeah, your senses and everything is there to take in what is good tasting coffee. I remember when I was talking to my dad years ago, when I gave him my coffee in his crappy Mr. Coffee machine, he could tell the difference. He knew that it was better, but he was not going to tell me about tasting notes and all that good stuff that we geek about all the time, right? So that's where she was really getting at. It was more so like everyday people, normal people, coffee drinkers don't do that, right? Why would they do that? So I went down this rabbit hole of trying to convince myself that, I need to learn the cup and all that good stuff. It's very important, blah, 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 blah. But then I got real with it too. And I just like drinking coffee for what it is. I like really, after a roast, if I'm really, really, truly excited about the coffee, I'll wait 3 to 4 days. But after a week, I'll grind it up, filter the coffee in my preferred method, and I'll drink it. And I'll sit there and I analyze it from there. I'll drink it hot mainly. Then as it cools, I can get a different perspective, right? But that's me. And I think that's more beneficial than drinking or tasting, sampling coffees on the table with a spoon and getting that amazing smell that you get when you break that first crust, but not really anything else, right? Because you're drinking it cold and you're analyzing cold, because that's where you can get the most of the senses of what that coffee is saying to you, right? But it's not real. It's not real to an everyday coffee drinker. It's lost. Not on them. It's not their fault. They don't do that on the daily. They just drink the coffee, right? They may look on the bag if it's a specialty coffee brand that says that it tastes like hazelnuts and jasmine and black tea, which to me is gross. Why would you want coffee that tastes like tea? I'll go on a rant later about that in another episode. They just want some damn good coffee that they can enjoy for the day and keep it moving, right? That's what they care about. That's why cupping is some bullshit to me. And I tell many people all the time, they kind of look at me, and when I say it, cupping, especially coffee professionals, I'm like, what? You don't do that? Yeah, no. Why? Why do I need to do that? Just because it's a protocol in the industry, you know? I've been a professional engineer for a long time, and there's procedures and things that we have to do and all that stuff. But it's interesting with coffee because there's rules, I wouldn't say regulations, there's protocols, suggestions, gold standards, but you don't have to do any of that really. If your method of producing something, presenting it to the world is adequate enough for your clientele, that's all that matters. I saw through that quickly, right? And it kind of took me aback, and I had to realize it from a different perspective, especially from my wife's perspective. Somebody who's not going to lie to me is that she is the everyday coffee drinker, right? So that's the thing, right? That's the thing that we're getting back to. And industry standards are important. I understand. I get it. I really do. But it doesn't move the needle for me. It doesn't get me in a place to where it truly helps out the end user. And if I keep saying this stuff or doing that or telling people this is what you're going to taste and they don't get that, that's a disservice. That's wrong. That's where the issues come into play of trusting people. And that's not cool, right? Why would you want to be lied to or manipulated against your will, so to speak? You want to be heard and understood. And when somebody speaks to you, you want to know that that's the truth that they're saying, right? So I'm not going to BS you, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you what I taste in the cup of coffee that I brewed. And if you taste it, you taste it. If you don't, you don't. And that's perfectly fine. As long as it helps you throughout your day, that's the most important thing. So that's why cupping is something that is, I look forward for quick analysis, understanding of what that coffee can be, or probably even will be. But that's not my experiments or protocols that I go through in order to analyze a coffee. It's roasting it different ways. It's actually tasting it the way clients will taste it. It's enjoying it with friends and probably get to the point where it does actually cool down and I can really taste the different specialness of that coffee from my perspective, right? But again, it's all about the perspective of the client. It's all about the way they do things. And if we keep doing things that don't make sense to the end user, especially presenting something that isn't necessarily what it is, then that's wrong, right? That's the way I look at it. So that's what we're talking about right now. Longest podcast I've done. I don't know how I was able to get to 45 minutes, but it's time for me to go walk the dog and to chill, relax, and get more things done. So I wish